The Mohammed and the Mwangi families live in Kilimani, a well-known neighborhood in Nairobi. However, the Mwangis were not originally from this area. Rose's parents grew maize in a small village in Zambia, and Chris's parents had a pig farm outside Nairobi. They both grew up helping their parents in the field. Rural life was good, but as young people, they did not see farming as an attractive profession offering economic prosperity, especially not for Rose. She tried to access loans to buy more land and invest on the family farm, but on many occasions she was not successful with the bank because she did not have collateral to offer for the loan. She was tired of trying, so she decided to embark on a long trip and move to Nairobi, where she fell in love with Chris. So after she married Chris, they both decided to move to the urban city in search for a better life. At first, it was not easy to find a good and affordable place to live, so they rented a house in the outskirts of Nairobi. They noticed how much the city was segregated. Most people with low income could not afford living in nice neighborhoods. After 2 years, Rose got a stable job as a vigilance officer and Chris a part-time job at a restaurant. They could then move to Kilimani. They were very happy to have achieved that. However, they still missed the farm and the calm rural life. Ahmed works for a recycling company in Nairobi. Due to his work, Ahmed has become aware of the world's limited resources and the effects of pollution on the environment, and in particular in big cities such as Nairobi. He recently received training on the impact of climate change and what are measures people can take to attempt to mitigate the problem. He has shared all the information he got from the training with Samira, since it is Samira who manages and purchases the resources for the family. The couple is now really attentive to the ecological aspect of their life, as they wish for a bright future for their children. They are now trying to limit their waste production and resource consumption. For example, Samira is now growing her own vegetables and fruits in the garden and buying more local products. At home, they separate their waste and try to buy goods not wrapped in plastic. Also, when Ahmed drives to work, he gives a ride to 2 colleagues in order to reduce their CO2 emissions. Samira is also informing more neighbours about this topic, and many of them have followed her example. Rose works as a vigilance officer. Since this is usually seen as a male profession, Rose was discriminated by her male colleagues because of her sex. When she got the job, her new colleagues, who were all males, would disrespect her by saying she would not last at that job for long since, as a woman, she was weak and fragile. Rose stood up for herself and did not pay attention to these biases. She worked hard and was one of the best in her team. She was happy with her job, but frequently noticed that she was left out of conversations with her peers and occasionally felt quite lonely. To add on to that, during the last years, 2 things disappointed her immensely at work. When she was pregnant with Hanuni, in her last month of pregnancy, she had some complications and had to stay at home to rest. Her manager was not happy about that and told her she would have to compensate that month by reducing the period of her maternity leave. She was so upset about this. Later on, after she was back to work from her maternity leave, she heard from her colleagues that everyone was getting a 3% raise that year. However, when she spoke to her manager, he told her she would not get it since she was away for too long. Because of these reasons, Rose did not feel valued at work anymore and felt discriminated against for being a woman. She is currently searching for another job, where she hopes being a female will not influence her salary, her rights, and her relationship with her colleagues. The story shows how the Mwangi and Mohammed families experience problems linked to the three aspects of inclusive and sustainable systemic change that is needed: economic, ecological, and social. Economic aspects relate to a people-centered agenda of broad-based growth, ending the increasing disparity between rich and poor and creating economic perspectives for women and young people. From the perspective of inclusiveness, the creation of decent jobs is the main indicator for growth. Ecological aspects relate to the fact that in a world with limited resources and threatened by increasing impacts of climate change, combined with a growing demand from an increasing world population, the footprint of production and consumption has to be reduced significantly. There is a great urgency to protect the fertility of soils, reduce the use of water, invest in renewable energy, and produce less waste and avoid deforestation. Stimulating solutions from those most affected is needed. Participation of women as preservers of nature and natural resources offers an incentive to contribute and benefit. Social aspects aim at social inclusivity, leaving no one behind. Social inclusiveness relates to participation at both public and private spheres.